Hey everyone, it's Justin Bartlett with Ministries, and this is our brand new blog. We're going to make regular posts of everything about events, including management tips, planning philosophies, best practices, and really anything we think you're going to find interesting and useful for your own growth and development. So for our very first entry, we have something really special for you. I recently did an interview with Vicky Botsford, the president of LifeSteward Ministries. For those of you who don't know, she's been consulting and coaching organizations in event management since the late 80s. Prior to LifeSteward, Vicky served as an executive director for a large multi-center operation in Florida for 7 years. And she was also a CareNet consultant for 7 years. So over 22 years of hands-on experience in the field makes her someone who may know a thing or two about events. We're going to post this interview in 3 parts. This week, we're going to hear about the relevance of a fundraiser banquet. Let's watch. Vicky, we're privileged, and it gives me great pleasure to have you here today. Thanks for being here.
Thanks, Justin.
So, got lots of questions for you today, and I guess the biggest thing on my mind is the fact that banquet season's coming soon, being the fall, and so I'm just kind of thinking of those out there that are considering maybe having a banquet for the first time. Or maybe even those that have been doing it for years and it's kind of like the same old and they're maybe reevaluating the banquet in general. And so I was just kind of hoping, to hear your thoughts on the relevance of a fundraiser banquet.
Mm-hmm. That is a great question because really the bottom line is banquets build a foundation for a ministry's finances and for their vision and for their success. And so it is the one event that really you cannot live without. And, it builds a particular constituency of people who are what we would call rational reasoned givers. And a reason giver is really a person, a donor who is educated, or a potential donor who's educated about who you are, what your mission is, what you do, and basically is able to write a donation, write a check, go online and give specifically to a ministry. They're saying, I like that. I want to be a part of that. I want to invest in that. And that's the kind of donor that we are able to reach in a fundraising banquet because it creates a forum where we're able to say, here's who we are. Here's what we do. And people make that educated, reasoned decision to give to you. And those are the donors that really build the foundation of the ministry.
Right. So you're basically saying that the banquet cultivates a type of donor that is maybe in it more for the long haul as well, rather than just kind of, just a random donation here and there. It's an opportunity to give them insight into your ministry and really get a life partner as opposed to just a random giver. Is that kind of what you're getting at?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. There's a lot of when we talk about funding in terms of event funding, we look at the big picture of funding. There's grant funding. There's, for ministries, there'd be a slice of the pie that would be churches that donate to the ministry. But there's always going to be a slice of the pie that is event giving. Right. And so, my desire would not be for ministries to do so many events that they really lose sight of their mission and forget why they're really doing what they're doing. And so it's very crucial to be focused in a fundraising plan about the types of events that you are choosing to do, as well as what constituency of people is that bringing you to. So not just an event for event's sake, per se, but an event that draws a constituency of people like we're talking about here in the banquet. It draws rational reason givers, and we know rational reason givers are more likely to get involved with the ministry on an ongoing basis as a volunteer and as a giver. Right. And so that's very crucial when we build the foundation of an event. Now, thinking in terms also of those folks out there, those ministries who've been doing banquets, it's just as important that this is a solid annual event. Why? Because there's also a constituency of our donor base where they want to come see you, touch you, feel you.
Yeah. Yeah.
They want to know and see visibly, here's what I'm investing in. And so what this event also does is continues to build the relationship with the donor and being able to say once a year officially, here's what we've done, here's where we're going, and create excitement in that.
Yeah, and you actually kind of answered my next question, was going to be about, a lot of people think that a banquet is a great way to get more than just fundraising, as we call it, the fundraising banquet. It's also to get involvement from people. And so you mentioned the touch you, feel you, see you, the relationship aspect of it. Is there any stories that you can think of to put you on the spot, like where you've heard where just by coming to the banquet, it wasn't just a check that was written, it was, how can I help? What can I do to get involved?
Oh my goodness. I think I could spend the next week telling those. Of course, I tend to go back to my early years of being in a ministry and doing my very first few banquets. And of course, those stick out to me the most because they were very personal to me.
Sure.
Back when I used to run to the mailbox and hope there would be two, $10 checks in there to keep the lights on in the very grassroots ministry that I was involved in Florida many years ago. But I think there's a constituency of people who come when they see the ministry and what the needs are. I remember a time when someone had some stock to donate. They'll wait till after the event. Hey, I have a thus and so. A man who had a display company, he wanted to gift us with doing a display for the ministry that we could take around to various mission conferences, that kind of thing. I think one of my favorite stories, though, Justin, is my very first year out in this of trying to put this kind of event together. Back in the 80s, before you were born, or as you were born, let's just put it that way. There was a man that came and he was a very successful commercial builder. And I found out later that he believed that tithing 10% of his business income to ministries was his mandate from the Lord. And so, he came to our event and he was just so excited about what the ministry was doing, and the event was done very professionally and it started on time, ended on time, a lot of the things that we teach now out there. And so he became a monthly giver, a monthly investor, and he started by investing about $50 a month. And back then, again, when you were born, that was a lot, and it meant a lot to us because, again, we had a few $5 and $10 donors, but we didn't have people who gave $50 and $100 a month. So he was kind of one of those pioneer donors, so to say, in that ministry. And over the 6 years that I was there, he never missed an event. He never missed a banquet. Now, there are some donors who would say, I've been there, done that. Let me just, send a check.
Yeah.
That's cool. Hey, we like them too, and that's cool. Maybe they like to come, touch us, see us, feel us in a different kind of way. But he was the kind that really he wanted to see it every year. He wanted to hear the testimonies, and he would come up to me with tears running down his face at the end of the event, saying, and I love getting your letters, and I love hearing the stories. He was just so touched and compassionate. It was that perfect match. Yeah. And that's what we want a banquet to do. You see, God, it says in his word that we are more blessed to give than receive. Yeah. So we're able to match someone's call to give with what we are doing missionally for the kingdom, and it's that perfect match. It's a win-win. Yeah. And so that's how it was for him. And over 6 years, I think towards the last year that I was at that ministry, he had upped his giving to $500 a month. And he was writing very large checks, even to underwrite that particular event at $5,000. So, I understand he's still giving today and from that ministry, and I love that.
Well, there we have it. I hope you found it informative, and I hope you're going to be back next week for part 2 of the interview when Vicky talks about to charge or not to charge for your fundraiser banquet, and who should your guest speaker be. So we're looking forward to seeing you next week when we see part 2 of the video. See you then.